I had never seen someone like me as a trainer or as an instructor at that point. Later on, I would end up seeing my first Zumba instructor who was plus size, or maybe Aqua Fitness, but that was all. So I went into it with a lot of doubt. I didn't think I would ever make a career out of it, and but I leaned on people and community around me, and honestly, that's when I started sharing my journey on Instagram and social media.
Well, hi, Kanoa. Welcome to Morning Waltz. I'm really happy to have you here. I know we've tried a couple of times to make this work, so thanks for being flexible.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so I want to start from who you are, where you're from, all the things, just if you would love to just introduce yourself.
Yes, I am Kanoa. I'm currently in Orlando, Florida, but was born in Honolulu, Hawaii, but grew up here in Orlando. And I've since have lived a lot of places, but I can't. I've been back now here in Orlando for the past several years.
What are you up to right now? What is happening for Kanoa right now?
Yes. So I am the founder of NAKOA Adventure, which might get confusing because, yes, it's so similar to my name, but totally different meaning. And I right now I'm focusing on that. I think for the past 10 years, it's something that well, actually probably all of my life, and we'll maybe talk about this from my journey from being an opera singer to a corporate recruiter in New York, to working heavily in fitness and really pushing the boundaries in size inclusivity in partnership with a lot of different brands. Those pieces have, and living in Hawaii, have prepped me for this, which is creating space for plus size people to really dive into outdoor adventure. You know, sometimes we don't think about that, but surfing, paddleboarding, kayaking, skiing, snowboarding, you know, those things someone in a smaller body could easily enter into if they had the interest of trying it. But there's so many barriers for plus size people to even be able to try those things. And I think there's so much value in being able to explore the outdoors and enjoy that space. So creating opportunities for plus size people to actually get out there and do these things is what I'm currently kind of have the blinders on and focusing on.
I love that. And as somebody who is a fellow hiker and outdoors person, the space and the need for that inclusivity is so important because I personally have had experiences where people, so I've struggled with my weight my entire life. I was probably around 220 when I was a senior in high school, and I've always been very active. I was on the swim team. I've always worked out, but I've just always struggled. And I think that people were always, fascinated. I moved out to LA and got really into hiking, but people would kind of look at you like, oh, you do yoga or you hike. And it's really unfortunate because it shouldn't be that way. And I think just because you physically look a certain way, you must mean that you can't do those things or you're not active or anything like that.
Exactly. And unfortunately, the outdoor industry as a whole was created with that narrative in mind, right? So to go, you know, for most people, if you wanted to go out with your friends and go paddleboarding, you know, it's as easy as booking a reservation, renting the gear, and showing up, you know. But for plus size people, there's other barriers. They may not have a paddleboard big enough for you. They may not have a life vest that fits you. You know, there's all of these roadblocks, or even instructors that know how to work with your body and help you, you know, navigate the ins and outs of standing up on a board. What happens if you fall off in the water? How do you get back on? You know, there's all of these things that sometimes we don't think about for that community. And so that's why I'm really passionate, because for most of my life, I didn't do those things because I didn't think I would be able to. And again, you know, coming from a family of surfers, like I never thought that for myself. And it wasn't until 2018 until I actually got out there and started surfing.
Mhm.
And now I spend, you know, part of my time in Costa Rica and tropical places. So I can do it as much as I can while I'm there. So, you know, you're absolutely right. We have this preconceived idea of what types of bodies can do certain things. People look at me and don't think that I'm a fitness trainer. A lot of times when I was teaching boot camp classes at the Y, people would think I was my new class. The first time showing up, I'm like, no, I'm teaching the class. like,
Yes.
so we have a lot of that stigma that's there.
Yeah. I want to talk to you a little bit more about your fitness career as well, but I want to get a sense of what you mentioned about NAKOA Adventures and what it is. How are you running quarterly retreats, or how does it work?
So for the past 6 years, it really was one trip a year. I only did it because my Instagram community asked for it. I shared my journey of learning how to surf. It was an amazing experience. And I went with a group of diverse bodies, right? We were there specifically for a modeling shoot for size inclusive surfwear, the first of its kind at the time. And sharing that journey, so many people followed along and they're like, where can I do that? And I honestly thought, even though I knew there was such a gap in accessibility, I thought I would find something. And when I didn't, I was like, well, I mean, I've never done it before, but if you really want it, I'm willing to put this thing together. And I honestly thought it would be a one done, we'll move on from there. So I ended up organizing the world's first plus size surf camp. And people kept asking for, I mean, loved it. That sold out probably within, I think, 19, 20 hours. So then I realized, oh, people really do want to do this, because people say they want to and then they don't. And so, um, and since then, we'd been doing one a year. Last year was the first time where we did four. So we did hiking in Switzerland, paddleboarding in Mexico, and then two different surf camps, one in Florida and one in Costa Rica. And moving forward, it might look like a mix. This year, it was me focusing on a lot of the business infrastructure, what's going to work, what doesn't work, especially what does community mean after we move through this year, 2025. How can we better serve our community and safe spaces as a whole? And so next year we'll see. There's a couple of things that I'm working on that I can't talk about yet, but new experiences, really exciting. Really excited to open the door in the snow space because that has been asked of us for the past 3 years, but the gear wasn't available in the market as a whole for us to confidently, for me to confidently say, let's do this, right? If there's no brand that's making snow gear up to a size 4X, 5X, or if the one or two brands that are doing it, it costs, $1,000 to $2,000 to do it. It doesn't make sense to put our community in that situation. But now we're in a better place. So that will be coming very soon.
With all of this that's happening for you, do you ever see yourself getting into your own apparel and own?
No, people have asked me that for a very long time, whether it's fitness apparel or outdoor gear of some type. I am not, I'm like, that's not my joy. I
Yeah.
have friends who do apparel and the whole idea of manufacturing and no. Like,
Yeah, that's a whole other level.
exactly. I'm like, yeah, no.
This just makes me so happy. I love that you've now kind of branched off into looking into the winter sports scene. I friends of mine, when I have a love, I'm not a love hate. I very much love the West Coast for all the lifestyle that it has to offer. But my community, and I'll be honest, I'm 41. I don't have children. I'm not married, but my community is all on the East Coast, and right now that's incredibly important for me. But friends have always been like, well, maybe why don't you try somewhere in the middle, like Colorado? And I'm like, well, I don't really do winter sports. It's great hiking, but like the last time I was on skis, yeah, that didn't work out too well for me. But anyway, um,
I'm the kind of person where it's like, get me in, have some fun, and then leave because I'm not living there.
yeah. Do you also bring in other people who help to support with if you've never done skiing before, or you've never done snowshoeing before, or whatever, do you bring in different coaches to help and support that?
We have local guides and operators that I work with, and most times I will train them myself. So there's not a sport that we do that I haven't done myself, right? Like I take the time to learn the sport because ultimately, this is the great thing about my background as a trainer. I understand how the body works, how the musculature works, how to make modifications and variations. It's what I do as a trainer. And so once I learn a sport, I understand how it's working and how we can adjust it for a plus size body. I then spend time working with the instructors and training them and talking them through, because the reality is 99.9% of instructors out there have never worked with someone in a larger body. So, for me to understand, a lot of surf coaches, they know how to do a pop-up maybe one or two ways. And none of those could work for a plus size person. And so I work with them on, actually, these are some other variations that you can think about. This is why this is, some of us have bigger thighs, so we need to move this way. Some of us have bigger bellies, so we need to adjust and do it this way. So yes, there are people on the ground. I make sure ahead of time that they're set up for success.
Okay. I want to pivot into your training background and understand a little bit more about. You mentioned that you were a corporate recruiter. So talk to me a little bit about the background that's gotten you to NAKOA Adventures.
I actually went to undergrad and grad school for opera. So I thought that was going to be my lifelong trajectory. But before I even finished grad school, I actually knew I would leave and never do it again. Like I just, by that time, academia had kicked it out of me. And I had went to grad school at a conservatory in New Jersey. So obviously the next thing was to move to New York afterwards. And I didn't know what I was going to do. But as most artists, we get a temp job. And my very first temp job was working for Prada corporate headquarter in New York City. It was fantastic and fabulous. A great place to land right out of grad school. Um, but in that time of temping, I ended up getting into a full time position, which was at a very large and famous advertising agency. And they brought me in house to start up in house recruiting, me and one other person. And it was something that I didn't know what I was doing. And they knew that ahead of time. Like they knew I had no experience in this, but New York, it's like, as long as you're smart and you're willing to learn and do the work, like everything's an open door and opportunity. So I dove into that, really loved it. I loved the opportunity of getting to work with people and in advertising, very creative people. So that spoke to my arts background. In New York City, you're surrounded by incredible women, smart women in leadership. And I was eating it up, learning as much as I could. But in that environment as a recruiter, and a lot of times playing career coach, as we're talking about where they want to go in their career, what they're looking for, and helping them transition into the next steps of their career. What I found is these incredibly brilliant women were moving into these roles thinking that it was going to be the thing that fulfilled them, that made them happy, that next title, that next salary jump. And it wasn't. I mean, time and time again, they were more exhausted, more stressed out, spending less time doing the things that they love, less living life. And 3 years in that role, I knew I didn't know what I was going to do next, but I knew I didn't want to do this thing, like this corporate train ladder. I could see the comfort of it because, again, coming from the idea that I would be a starving artist for forever and then going to New York where you're making a ton of money and you realize how much money is out there and stability, all of those things. And I could see how it could draw me in and I could get comfortable, but I refused to do that. So I ended up staying there for 3 years. Hawaiian Airlines then poached me and recruited me to do in-house recruiting, and that's thus making the move to Hawaii. But less than a year into that, I was like, it's the grass isn't greener. It's the same thing no matter what machine I'm working within. So I left without a plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G. There was literally no idea, but I knew that I wanted to help women. And I remember consciously saying this, and I even have journals of when I wrote it down. It's that it would I didn't know in what vehicle I would be helping women, but I wanted that to be my work. I had such an affinity for women and just protecting us and cheering us on. And the opportunity just opened up for me to do a little bit of fitness motivating, fitness coaching, if you will. I've always been involved in coaching. I've always loved working with trainers, learning from trainers. I was like a yoga junkie through grad school. And I loved the idea and the vibe and the energy and the community of it. But I had never seen someone like me as a trainer or as an instructor at that point. Later on, I would end up seeing my first Zumba instructor who was plus size, or maybe Aqua Fitness, but that was all. So I went into it with a lot of doubt. I didn't think I would ever make a career out of it, and but I leaned on people and community around me. And honestly, that's when I started sharing my journey on Instagram and social media. You know, for me, it was I don't know I don't have the people in my life who know how to show up into fitness without shame and guilt, without going in with this idea of I have to become skinnier so that I can be worthy and beautiful and accepted. I just wanted to show up and like have fun and just like have fun in my body, you know, play good music, do some things, sweat, have the endorphins and feel good. And so that was me sharing my journey on social media was let me find the people, right? Because at that time, I mean, we were talking about 2015, 2016, you only had less than five plus size active fitness athletes that were kind of showing up in that space. So I had very few, I mean, really like two, two other people at that time.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what the beginning started for me was to really lean into fitness, see the need, do it for myself. And then locally, you know, coming back to Orlando, we have a YMCA that I actually grew up in. And they were the ones who approached me about coming on and getting the certification, working to be a trainer, because they wanted people in the community to see someone like them moving and leading and encouraging them in their space. And they had loved what I've been doing. So that's when I finally took the leap and was like, okay, we're committing to this. Like, we're going to do the thing.
I applaud you for that because that's not an easy thing to do, especially when you can become very blinded by income in the corporate space.
And
So, yeah.
safety. And I get it. Like I tell people I'm like, you know, nowadays I would never recommend someone to just leave your job without a plan and just go. It was the right decision for me, but you know, it is scary. And I didn't know if it would work out, but I just knew that was not the place that was going to fulfill me. I knew that there had to be a way for me to have access to wealth and stability that did not require me to pour so much time that I didn't have more time. Like I was working 60, 70 hour weeks. Like there was no more time.
Yeah.
So I took the leap and it's been an amazing, a wild ride, not always easy, but well worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. You and I feel, have a bit of a similar path in terms of the corporate side. So I went to school for journalism and I wanted, I graduated in 2006. So at that time it was Meredith Vieira and Oprah Winfrey and Barbara Walters. And they were some of the big names that you saw on network TV. And I wanted to be the next one. And, I went early on. I had especially a lot of male professors and men in the Philadelphia news market. The amount of times I've been told you're too fat to be on camera.
Mhm.
And I listened to what they had to say. And so I always found a way, kind of not quite doing what I wanted to do, but always kind of touching it. So I moved out to LA, did casting, thought I needed a more corporate structure and stable job, and got into recruiting. So on the creative side, so I do my full-time job now. I do some HR compliance and recruitment, and I'm kind of finally at a point that I have enough confidence and know who I am now as a person at 41 to be like, this is what I want to do. I want to meet people like you and talk to you and just be able to help share your story. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to do that. But
Thank you.
Yeah. I want to know about the opera. Did you grow up singing opera?
I grew up singing since forever.
Mhm.
I come from a family of musicians, and you spending time in Hawaii know that it's such an integral part of just Polynesian culture is music.
Mhm.
Um, it wasn't until high school that I was exposed to opera. I saw a production from Orlando Opera that came to my high school, and then I went to go see Don Giovanni, and it changed my world because I thought, oh my goodness, I could get paid to wear ball gowns and wear tiaras. Like what? Like
Yes.
what? It was like, sign me up. And that's what I thought I would do. Obviously, you learn through the range of just what that really entails. And I always say now, it's funny because I wanted to go to college for international business. I wanted to double major international business and French. My family would not let me. I had to be a music major. And so that's what I did and I pursued. And it's funny because now I'm like, well, I'm doing international business. I'm doing exactly what my heart knew it wanted to do at a young age. It just took a long route to get here.
Yes. It's so funny that you say your family was like, you need to major in music, because I feel like there's so many families out there like, no, you need to go major in business. Like
A
it's
real job.
the worst
Exactly.
thing ever. Yeah, when I did that Nickelodeon show in Hawaii, it was funny because the network would say, okay, some of the questions we want you to ask and information we want to gather from these kids is like, what do you watch on TV? What shows are you watching? And I was like, that's not happening here in Hawaii. These kids are surfing. They're playing soccer. They're singing. They're dancing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Um, so with your training, so right now I know you do a lot of stuff that's online. People can do your workouts on YouTube. What does a day in the life of you as a trainer look like? You teach at the Y. You're doing your classes online. Do you see private clients?
I don't. So once COVID happened, one, I knew I would never go back into like a brick and mortar. And even when I went into the Y, because I started training and really starting as a fitness motivator and coach virtually. And going into the Y was just an opportunity, one, because they asked me, and two, because I wanted to just get an experience of what it is to work inside of a gym and work with private clients and teach classes in real life, which only then set me up for COVID, because when that happened, everything went digitally. I started working with a lot of different platforms. I created my own fitness app at the time, and then had to then transition because I was working with a corporate brand, and it was a conflict of interest, and it was such a great opportunity that I was like, we're going to shut down my app, and then we're going to like it was big of a deal.
You don't want that. You don't want that cease and desist.
I mean, we had the conversation. It was, and they were like, "Yeah," and I was like, "I'm willing to do it." So that route. But I knew that I would never go back into the brick and mortar post COVID. And so, one, because I love to travel, and I knew that this trajectory in my life, it was starting to take its shape in my life. So now, last year I was traveling every single month, spending part time in Costa Rica, like I said, living there for at least a few months each year. So it doesn't make sense for me to be any place physically because, when you go to a gym and you love your instructor and you show up to take that class, but what happens when they're gone for like months at a time? So right now it's, doing things virtually, doing videos for YouTube, working in partnership with different platforms. Because again, this NAKOA is taking up so much of my focus at this point.
You've got a lot of balls up in the air that sound really exciting, and it's, I guess, out of all of the various, you talked a lot about surfing, moving towards some potential winter sports. Do you have a favorite way to make movement fun? Do you have a favorite movement yourself, form of exercise or movement for yourself that grounds you?
I personally I love teaching and doing, it's probably why I love teaching because I love doing it. But like I love a great cardio and strength, like a really standard kind of like a hit. hybrid type of class. I love things that incorporate strength. I love things that tap into agility. Because for me, when I move my body in, say, traditional, exercise, for me, it's always a venue knowing that I'm strengthening my body to do something else that I love, like surfing. Like surfing is my number one when it comes to outdoor sports. And I used to hate burpees, hated them. Like who loves burpees? But I incorporate them in almost every workout because I know it just strengthens my pop up. And I have a different framing. Before, when it was like, oh, I'm too weak, or I'm too fat, or I'm too slow, and when I was thinking about it in that way, yeah, I hated it. Like I was judging my body and my body in that movement. But now when I do it, even if it is slow, even if it's not perfect, for me, it's like I'm developing the athleticism that I need to strengthen my pop-up and feel more confident in that. And it makes me enjoy it and celebrate it in a different way that I hadn't before.
Yeah. You bring up a lot of interesting points for yourself personally. So how do you empower people to get past those limitations and that self-judgment and the belief?
It's, I think, putting them in the scenarios, right? It's taking a class with me. It's coming on in one of our adventures. I think inspiration and hearing it is great. And that's why I think representation matters, and why I love having opportunities to have these conversations and talk to magazines and whatnot, because once you see it, you're like, okay, well, that's a frame of reference, like that's a possibility. But once you step into it and you discover it for yourself, it really does internalize that belief, right? We see people who've come to our adventures. I think Charlene's a great example. She came to her first surf adventure in 2023. And at that point, she had never surf, hiked, anything, like literally anything. And since that adventure, she's come to two surf camps. She hiked the Swiss Alps with us last year. She rock climbed while we were in Switzerland, and is wanting to learn how to snowboard, right? It's like someone who really discovered for themselves, like, my body can do these things. And now she's like completely addicted to it. Like she wants to do everything. And she keeps sending me reels, and she's like, can we go here and do this thing? And I'm like, and I love it.
She needs to be your hype woman.
Right. But we see that story so often. I mean, how many women that we've seen, and granted, our adventures are open to everyone, but it seems to just draw in women who are loving these experiences. But so many of them had never done these things before. I mean, surfing, like 100% of people that come had never surfed before.
Yeah.
A lot of these adventures, which is why they come, because they want a brave space to come and do these. But then it opens up, you see the light bulb go on of like, oh my goodness, if I can do this, what else can I do?
Yeah, absolutely. What was it like for you growing up? Did you have limiting beliefs about yourself?
Like, I mean, I wouldn't even go to the lake with my friends because it was just, if someone wanted to go tubing, I don't know if I would fit. I don't, if I fell off, would I be able to get back on? I didn't want to be embarrassed, and I didn't want to put myself, especially when you're younger, right? It's just,
Yeah.
it's like mortifying to even think about. And honestly, because of the lack of representation, I just didn't think that it was possible. When I wanted to originally learn how to surf in 2016, I was like, okay, I'm ready. I'm going to do it. And I tried to find a surf suit, and I couldn't find anything. Not living in Hawaii online, I reached out to designers I knew in New York. No one had ever seen anything above a size 16 for us. And I took that as, okay, well, I really am not supposed to be out there, right? It's not just a matter of, I don't think so, but it really isn't a thing. And so I didn't learn in 2016. And it wasn't until 2018 that I finally had the opportunity to go. And it was like, even if I have to go naked, like, I'm going to just try it, do
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
and discover that I can, right? So it wasn't that my body was incapable. It just, there wasn't access for me to do those things.
Yeah. And I also think that, workout, being active in any capacity is so good for our mental health. But I
Right.
also think that when you combined movement and then water, I think there's something so incredibly powerful about that.
Not everyone would agree, but I would. You know, some people are like, I don't want to do a water adventure. I mean, that's kind of like why we started branching out. And I was like, really? Because I could do like we could only do water things.
Yeah, you just be in the water all the time.
Exactly.
I'm a water baby, like through and through. There was a when I was living in California, the company that I used to work with they were a corporate team for the Malibu Triathlon, and I don't enjoy running, and it's taken me a long time to be like running is just not my thing.
You and I are twinsies. Yep.
I think I think there's just been this idea that for cardio, if you want to get in shape, you have to be running, and it's like,
Yeah.
do I though?
Yep. You live that life for long enough where you're like, you try to convince yourself, and then finally you're like, you know what? I don't.
No, I don't come walking in with any kind of runner's high.
Exactly.
um, but I'm curious about somebody who any you mentioned the woman earlier about how she's been to multiple of your events and is sending you the reels. Is there one particular story or moment of a client that you've worked with or someone who has attended your events that was just kind of that moment, that story that sticks out and just reinforces, yeah, this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. And I know that I'm on the right path. This is, yes. Oh,
Yeah. I mean, there's so many, and honestly, the first trip was eye opening because, like I said, you know, I did this in response to our community. I never envisioned this. I never asked to do this. It was never on my vision board ever, ever, which is actually why I think I'm supposed to do this. There's no ego attached to that, right? It's not this thing that I'd been dreaming of. But I think our first Costa Rica trip in 2023, we had Miss Pam who came, who is 62 years old, and she wanted to learn how to surf. And it was not an athletic person, had not an adventurous person, but she had done so much for her family and for her kids, her grandkids. And she was at a point where she wanted to do something for her. And she saw this opportunity, like, I'm about to go and live my very best life. And it was so cute, one, to see everyone just rally around her, because I don't think she's actually even spent a lot of time in the ocean. I mean, it's just I think she served with a life vest. Adorable. And just to see her go out there, and she rode the wave in on her stomach. I mean, it's riding a wave, it's surfing, with the biggest smile on her face. And she did that a couple of times, and then she was good. Then she's like, I want to sit on the beach and just enjoy. But just for her, I mean, she still talks about it. Her kids actually ended up DMing me, like, I think weeks or months later, just thanking me for creating a space for their mom. They said it really has changed her since she came back. And I actually forgot about that until we just started talking about it. And it's like, that is why I do this. It is, yes, I think part of me wanted to do it for the 16-year-old me who wish I would have had this or seen this as a kid. And this is an opportunity for me to pay that forward no matter what their age. And then hopefully we get to a point in this industry where there's a generation who didn't know that they didn't belong, right? It's just they've always been included in this narrative. And that to me is what pushes me forward. You know, we talk about entrepreneurship and taking the leap and how difficult it is. And it's hard. Like, there are times where it's, you know, I have so many accolades behind my name and what I've done, but it's still hard. And there's still mountains that you have to climb, and I still cry. And there's still days I wake up and I'm like, really, I'm doing this? But this is the mountain I'm going to die on. I was like, this is a legacy that is worth doing, and it's worth the hard things.
yeah. Yeah. What's the saying that nothing worth having is easy. I think that's
You
it.
were not lying.
Yeah. Yeah. I taught yoga briefly for core power yoga, and I remember a teacher always saying, like, if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. And I think about that a lot. And even had taken that into my the classes that I taught, but it's true, as like cliche as that might sound. I think the
So
things
true.
that challenge us, yeah. So,
So
well, I want to know more about your community and this community that you build online, the support that you have, the conversations that you're having online with people to change the misconception about plus size and fitness. What has that been like for you? And do you have a lot of people who are critical? Are you having a lot of open-minded conversations that people are shifting that perspective more and more?
I'd like to think so. I'm probably an enigma in that I have never had a troll ever in the decade of being on social media post a negative comment. It's surprising because I'm it's an amazing community, especially when you're looking at plus size fitness trainers, because there were so few of us early on, and we're such a supportive group, and we know. And I've heard horror stories, especially in different sports, the running community. I'm like, I would never run just for that alone and share that journey. Um, it is brutal. Um, but I have not experienced that. So thankfully, no. And I really do try to cultivate a brave space. I'm always very open and honest. Like people know, they see the good, the bad, the ugly. I've shared everything. I lost my vision in my right eye permanently, 90% of my vision in 2015. I shared that whole journey for the 2 years. Like they have seen the rawness. And I think that helps people just be open with me and share as little or as much as they want to. And I welcome that. And we have real conversations about, because I do, it's not that I automatically decided, I'm going to do this from an empowering standpoint and I didn't struggle. Like I do still struggle with my body. My body fluctuates, and we live in the culture and the society that we do. So to say that you're not phased, but I think you're working at it at various levels. We're humans, we're not machines. And so I appreciate that people come and talk about all of the things, or just, silly things too. And a lot of people have come to know that I'm an expert of, active wear and outdoor gear. Like I know the brands that are making these things. I do my research for me and also for them. Like I just always want to share as much as I learn with them. I don't put things behind paywalls. Like it is free resources. I'm there to serve this community.
Yeah. And I think that's so incredibly important. You're not gatekeeping, as they say. It's
Exactly.
there's enough out there for everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, there's more than enough. And I know sometimes, especially in 2025, it may not feel like it, as, brands. Um, I've done a lot of work with brand partnerships. And honestly, in 2025, so much of that has been pulled back when we talk about whether the pullback on DEI and the pullback on just inclusivity. When we're talking about GLP-1s, there's been this real big swing back. And you can tell that there's less opportunities, but at the end of the day, it's like, you're either in it to serve this community or you're not. And I think the plus size community, as other communities, have been dealt with like, secondhand citizens, right? Where they're just the afterthought to a lot of things. And it's rare that they get the best quality, the best care, the best attention. And for me, whether it's NAKOA, whether it's fitness, it's always, I want to serve this community with excellence. That's what I'm here for. And that's why I left my corporate job to do, was to serve these women. And I'm living that out.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing all that. I have a couple of like fun little questions for you. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Morning.
Tea or coffee?
Neither.
Do you have what's your
I will do a chai. I will do a chai latte, but I'm generally not. My friends, it's so funny when I travel and they're like, "Do you want coffee?" I'm like, "I don't drink coffee." They're like, "What? What do you drink?" I'm like, "Water." Like,
yeah, the stuff that we're made up most of. What is your favorite song that gets you pumped to move your body?
Ooh, I would say Pump It by Black Eyed Peas. That was the one, if I had to run, it had to be the song that I started with because it's so amped that you can't help but move. But then once the song was over, I was like, oh, what do I do now?
That's a good one. I need to put that on my Spotify. I haven't heard that one in a while. One word that you would say describes your energy.
I'm going to say infectious just because so many people tell me and it's the word that popped up.
I love that. What about any quote or mantra that you live by?
Oh my goodness. I don't think I have any one, but there's so many that just flow in and through my life when they need to serve me. Um, I don't. I wish I had something that came to mind right now. I mean, I something I constantly comes back is I can do hard things, because I think, and I that's important even for me to remember today. You know, as I'm working in NAKOA and doing some very hard things, it's nice to then remember the other hard things that I have done that I never thought I could do. Right, like 10 years ago, did I ever think that I could surf? Did I ever think that I would be leading surf camps and putting them together? Absolutely not. And it was hard to get there and I did it. Right. So I love that that's a constant that stayed with me, I think the longest.
Okay. And my last question for you is your dream location to host a NAKOA adventure.
My dream location, it would be Tahiti,
Oh,
hands down. Yeah.
okay. Well, thanks for playing. Um,
Absolutely.
well, Kanoa, this has been amazing, and I'm so grateful you decided to join me and have this conversation. You,
Thank you again for having me and just creating a safe space for us to just talk about all the things.
yeah, absolutely. You really are infectious. I think that's an incredible word.
Thank you.